I want to welcome you to week 2 as we continue this journey of looking at God, just tell me. The desire of our heart is to know God's will, to live in His will. And by doing that, experience His presence and His promises and His blessings. You know, in Exodus 20, verse 10, it says, to not work on the Sabbath day. So the Pharisees created 39 different types of laws that prohibited work so that no one would break the law. Well, here are just a few of those laws, and they're known as fence laws because they're not the law, but they lead to it. The first one is this: you should not spit on the Sabbath because it would disturb the dirt and you would be guilty of plowing. The second one: you could not swat a fly on the Sabbath because you would be guilty of hunting. I've never hunted a fly before. A woman could not look at her reflection because she might see a gray hair and pluck it out, which would do what? Be guilty of working on the Sabbath. Now, they did create these loopholes to get around some laws. For an example, one of them was that if your house was burning down on the Sabbath, you couldn't carry any clothes out because you'd be guilty of work. So instead, what they would allow you to do is to put on as many layers of clothes as you could while the house was burning down so that you could leave the house without breaking the law because you weren't carrying them, you were wearing them. Well, a lot of that is silly nonsense, right? But the desire was good. The desire was to honor God. But the spirit of the law got lost by legalism. The point of that is this: we can overcomplicate God's will and underestimate God's goodness. The problem is that we begin to think of God's will in terms of what we do. God's will is more about who than do. That's why Matthew 6:34 says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Now, listen to this one regarding our future. James 4:13-15 says, now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why? You don't even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? Well, you are a mist that appears for a while and then vanishes. So instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. Well, now, many of us know Psalm 37:5 because it says, commit your way to the Lord. These two texts suggest to us that we seek His plan and let Him lead over just inviting Him to tag along in the back seat. When I was in junior high, my brother was in senior high, and he would let me ride along with him to our community basketball courts, where a lot of the high school guys got together. It was fun riding along with him, and I really did enjoy shooting hoops by myself for a while, but I never got invited to play in any of the games. I was just the tag-along little brother. Well, I share that story to say that Jesus, He doesn't mind tagging along, but isn't it wiser for Him to be involved in our lives? I guess what I'm saying is this: His deity is a waste if He's nothing more to us than a friend that sits in the back and rides along with us. And that's why we come to our theme verse for the day, which is this: whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. Well, does that mean to shoplift for His glory, to sneak out of work early, for His glory, or to lie well for His glory? No. The best way to find God's will for your future is to live faithfully for Jesus today. Doing His will for His glory means seeking to do what He would do. You see, when we are tuned into Him, allowing Him to coach us and to be on the court with us, be part of our team, we see His ways sooner and it's clearer than when we're not paying attention. Ephesians 5:8 says it this way: for you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of the light. For the fruit of light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And find out what pleases the Lord. Well, how do we find out what pleases the Lord? By being tuned in. It says, living as children of the light. And when we do that, what does it do? It results in the expression of goodness, righteousness, and truth. Nothing that comes from us, everything that comes from him. So it means that we can become something as we get to know his Spirit living in us. While I will never become a tree, a car, or the chair that you're sitting in, I can become a child of the light. And one of your questions for today is this: who does God want me to become? You may not use the phrase child of light because I just used it. It's already been taken. But be specific regarding using, maybe this is what you need to do. Use your spiritual gift. I know one of our classes have just gone through that experience of looking into that. But one person could say, well, I meant to be an evangelist. Why? I have the gift of evangelism. God has given me the gift of encouragement. I can be an encourager, or I can be a teacher. There's a whole list of spiritual gifts in Scripture. So while we are called to be children of God, there's something beyond that can be specific. I am meant to be a helper. I'm meant to be a shepherd. What are your spiritual gifts? What is God calling you to become? And remember this: he wants a relationship with us. And so it's more than due, but it's about pouring our lives into others because he has poured into us. Now, move into your discussion. Enjoy your day as you continue to pursue what is God's will for your life.